So found this article the other day that kind of made me laugh, kind of made me sad, a whole bunch of different things. And it was about Larry Bird, and he was talking, or he was being interviewed or something, and talking about how so many of the players he used to play with would make fun of him for how he saved his money.
Okay, so Larry Bird is a famous NBA player.
Yeah, famous basketball player who was really, really good.
He played when we were kids, right?
Played against Jordan.
Oh
yeah, back in the day.
Back in the day.
But I thought it was really interesting because we had in the book, I had that quote that where I talked about
NBA and
NFL players. And I don't remember the exact percentage.
How quickly they go bankrupt.
But I think it's more than half of NBA players end up going bankrupt, according to some MSNBC article that I read, which is just crazy to think about.
It is crazy because in my head, especially as a kid, I was like, well, they're making the big bucks, so they're set for life, they're rich forever, right?
Yeah. No, I mean,
it's fascinating.
You got a really nice head start when you're making a couple $1 million a year.
You do.
It's like, you should.
Well,
but
especially if you come from not having a lot of money, you would think, oh, well, they must be really using it well because they're used to not having a lot of money. But it's kind of a bummer that it's the opposite with most of the players.
Yeah, Larry said this: even when I was at the top of my game, we didn't drive a Mercedes or live in $1 million homes, things like that. When I first started playing, we bought a nice little house in the French Lick, West Baden area. It cost $125,000. We didn't run out and spend all of our money because we knew there would be a time when it was over, and I wanted to have options on what we could do with our future. So,
yeah.
Anyway, interesting.
Yeah, but I think what's so funny about this is that the people who are making the foolish decisions are the ones that are usually really quick to make fun of someone who's making wise decisions.
Yeah.
And, here he was just unassuming, just being really chill about the whole thing. And I think it's kind of a picture of what happens when money is in your heart, right? Mm-hmm. And when you can separate yourself from it and see it as a tool. Yeah. And that's what we're after, really. And I don't know where Larry Bird stands with the Lord and everything, but I do think that it's interesting that you can kind of have that separation of, but there's going to be a time when I don't have all this money. So, let's think to the future and think about, what does this look like? What can it do for me? What do I want to use it to do? And
it's just sound wisdom. That's that's what it comes down to.
That's the big thing there.
And it's so easy to just get in the mindset of however it's going right now is how it's always going to be.
Well, and it feels like that with everything, really.
Yeah.
Your
good
friendships, your relationships, Yeah. Yeah, exactly. If you're sick, if I'm sick, I feel like that. If I have a migraine one day, I'm like, I've had a migraine every single day. And Bob's like, no. It really hasn't been like that. I'm like, well, it feels like it.
It does. And it feels like it's always going to be that way.
And it feels like it'll never get better. Right.
But that works against us so much when we're actually doing well financially, as in you're playing in the NBA with a $1 million salary or whatever. And that's the whole reason why. It doesn't matter how much money you make, it's what you do with it,
So what do you think are some mindset shifts that we need in order to start viewing money as a tool instead of as a, just being so emotional about it?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things that's helped me is getting an eternal perspective. And I don't know why, but as Christians, so few of us think of ourselves as eternal beings. Yeah. And so few of us think of ourselves on an eternal timeline. We're still just functioning on this 80-year timeline that our life on earth presents us. And when we do that, I think it just forces us, or all but forces us, to make less wise decisions. Yeah. Because we're just viewing it from a short-sighted perspective. It's the same way if you make, in terms of your entire life, if you made all of your, and this is what so many young kids do, make all of your financial decisions based on what you feel in the moment. And the whole YOLO thing, right. and whatever, all the pop songs, this thing about just blow all your money for the weekend because that's all that matters. That's all it is. It's really short-sighted thinking, and that just leads to foolishness. And then when you have a longer-term perspective, it's like, okay, well, I don't want to blow all of my money this weekend. I want to have some money, whatever, to go on a vacation next month or to pay for college or whatever.
Yeah.
And then like the next level, I think, of maturity in all this is having an eternal perspective where you're seeing beyond just the earth. You're seeing beyond, you know, also like what your giving does and how your giving impacts eternity,
right.
you know? And just, yeah, it just completely, at least for me, changed my whole perspective, and it just really, really helped. So the hardest thing about that, I think, is just staying in a constant awareness of it, because it's so hard to remember that because we are on Earth, and we do have these bodies that are only going to last, whatever, 100 years if we're lucky or blessed, you know? But that's the challenge, is how to just staying aware of it on a day-to-day, in and out basis.
Yeah. I mean, I would also add to that, just like a practical thing would be to just write down some goals of like, what do you want the rest of your life to look like? Because life looks very different after you're done working. Like, I mean, your parents are done working, and it feels like they're very much like they've decided how they want to spend their last years in life.
Yeah.
And they're able to do that because they planned for it. And for them, that looks like hanging out in Florida, playing golf as much as they want, getting to see their grandkids, you know. Yeah. But I mean, there's the other side of it where it's like you've thought nothing for the future, and you just have to hustle and grind for the rest of your life. Or in these people's cases, there were a lot of people asking him for money, Larry Bird for money, and he was having to say no, probably because he was like, I know you think.
I told you.
No. I'm guessing it's probably because he was thinking, you spent all your money immediately, and I am saving this money for the rest of my life. Like this is my right. Like this is my retirement fund, because there's a short window in where a professional athlete can actually play.
Yeah. And
it doesn't always go till 65, 70, 75. You know, like the rest of America can afford to do. It's like you have a short window of time, and then after that, like you need to be set up for what's going to happen the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So he probably is like, well, it seemed like I made a lot of money, but I mean, I've got several years still to pay for my family and pay for myself to live, right?
Yeah. No, but it is interesting. It specifically mentions in this article how after some of these players went bankrupt, they're like, hey, Larry, you got any money in that savings account you want to share?
I know. Which, yeah. It would be tempting not to be like, I told you.
What's the parable of the foolish virgins? I mean, isn't that exactly it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Like,
yeah, exactly.
Bring your oil.
Bring your oil. Pack up for later.
We don't have any oil. Can we just borrow yours? Like,
it's so fascinating how much we don't want to talk about money, and yet how much the Bible talks about money. That's a whole other podcast in itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess our point here is just, you know, have you thought about what's going to happen after you're done working? What is going to happen for the rest of your life? Like the other day I just said to Bob, I was like, we need to start saving for our daughter's wedding, because, you know, it's really easy to be like, I mean, she's 5 years old. Just put that off. But like all of a sudden, I mean, some of these weddings are like ridiculously expensive, and, you know.
Which we are, well, I guess
whatever,
maybe get
like
into that now,
we don't know what's going to happen. We're just saying that. But I'm like, if we just start putting some money away right now, then it's not that big of a deal when the time comes. And should she not want an expensive wedding, we can give it to her to buy a house with her husband. You know what I mean?
Much rather would do that.
I know, but it's
for
not.
For anybody who doesn't know,
we're not going to make that choice for her.
Well, we'll have that conversation later.
She's 5, okay?
She's 5.
Let's just. I'm just saying it would be wise for us to start putting that away now, so that when the time comes, we're not surprised by it.
Yeah, of course. 100% agree.
And the same with the other two.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think, you know, since we're going down random tangents, let's just do this. So we got married, had a very, very small wedding, and very inexpensive. And don't regret it, you know?
Do not
because I
regret
think
it.
that really enjoyed it a whole lot.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, we are big party people, though. That's what's kind of funny. But I feel like in this instance, we did not feel like having a big party. I feel like weddings sometimes bring out a lot of strife, and that it was going in that direction for me, and I was seeing just not a lot of harmony. And I was like, I don't want to get married like this. I'd rather just get married. I'd rather elope. So that, you know, we didn't end up doing that because I thought that would bring some some strife as
some
well.
additional strife.
But instead, it was like we created this moment that seemed really sweet, really holy, made people feel included, made us feel like we were connected instead of, you know, just doing it for everyone else. I have a friend getting married really soon, and she's moving away right after she gets married. And so she's like, at my wedding, I'm going to be saying goodbye to everybody. And I'm like, I can't imagine that. That's got to be like a really hard thing to think through of like, I'm not just trying to say hi to everybody at my wedding. I'm also trying to say like tearful goodbyes at my wedding too.
Yeah.
But I mean,
tough.
Everybody gets to do whatever they want. I get that. But
well,
you know, this worked out really well for us.
That's my whole point. That's why I'm bringing it up. Because in case
Yeah.
we have someone listening who is on their way to getting married or the parent of someone getting married soon,
Yeah.
We did not regret it. Because I think some young brides might feel like if they do a small wedding, they're going to regret it. And we didn't. And we
great.
really enjoyed it. And it saved us a ton of money that we could have
Send us a message.
spent.
We'll talk you out of it.
You know, and there's something, you know, if you want a big wedding, that's great. And a big wedding is different than a $100,000 wedding. Like, the point is, like, you're getting married. You're getting married. Let's put the first thing first. Let's focus on the
Right.
marriage and not on throwing the world's biggest
Totally.
party that would impress the Kardashians. Like,
Although, if
just
you're
keep
having
it
that wedding, I
in
do want to be
perspective.
invited because I do want
if
to.
you're going to spend all the money, you might as well invite us. We'll come enjoy it with
We
you.
might get a lot of invites from this.
That'd be fun.
That'd be great.
Anyway. All right. So, yeah, that's the quick thought for the day. Yeah. And we'll see you in the next one.
We really love creating fresh content for you each week, but if you have not checked out our book, Simple Money, Rich Life, this really is our best work, and we have some free resources we want to tell you about.
So if you enjoy listening to our soothing voices, then you can download chapter 1 of the audiobook,
And if you prefer to read, we have the first 2 chapters of the ebook version.
or we even have a 5-week book study outline based on this book. And you can download all of this for free at seedtime.com/sample.